In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 key pillars that you need to focus on in order to get your Amazon FBA business to 10K per month. In my opinion, these are the only 3 pillars that you should be focusing on until you get to the point where you're doing 50 to 100K per month in sales within your Amazon business. And if you genuinely learn to master these 3 pillars, you will genuinely see your Amazon FBA business tenfold. So make sure you watch to the end because I'm going to be breaking down these 3 pillars in depth and showing you exactly what you need to do to implement them. So if you're currently at the stage where you're looking to start Amazon, or maybe you've even started and you're already doing maybe 5K per month in sales, 10K per month in sales, and you're really wanting to scale your Amazon business, these are the 3 key pillars that you need to focus on. So pillar number 1 is the product sourcing or the product analysis phase. So I see so many people doing this wrong, and it's actually arguably the most important step within the whole business. Because if you get this wrong, it will just negatively impact every single process and everything you do later on down the line. So when you're contacting brands, negotiating them, when you're selling the products, when you're replenishing them, having issues with pricing volatility and pricing history on listings, these are all issues that you're going to face and all complications that you're going to have if you don't get this part right at the start. So we split the product analysis up into 2 stages. We have an initial product validation stage and we have an advanced product validation stage. Now, at the product sourcing and analysis phase, we're only going to be focusing on the initial validation checks. And the initial validation checks are solely there to filter out the bad products, and basically to ensure that you're finding the right type of listings on Amazon to ensure that you're looking to sell the right type of products. So the way that we go about product sourcing is we will find all of the listings on Amazon first, and we will basically go out there, we will use one of our product sourcing methods, and we will find a listing that meets all of our initial validation checks. We will then go look to source the product from the brand directly and sell it from there. So in effect, we're always looking for the product on Amazon first, and we're never going out to Google and just searching for wholesalers aimlessly. So what are these initial validation checks? Well, the first one is actually the seller count on the listing. What we want to look for is how many sellers are there on there, and is it consistent? Because what we're looking for is consistency in all areas. You know, how many FBA sellers are there? How many FBM sellers on there? Are they VAT registered? Are they online or retail arbitrage sellers? What kind of sellers are they on the listing? Because we want to be looking for listings that aren't just flooded with online and retail arbitrage sellers. Because as a wholesaler or a brand direct seller, it's going to be super hard to actually compete on these listings, and you just don't want to get involved with it, because then you're going to be basically experiencing high volatility on these listings. The pricing is going to be all over the place. Like, you know, when you source the product, you might be at a 20% profit margin selling the product at £10, but the next week it maybe drops to £9, then £8, and you just start experiencing all of these pricing wars. So if you source a product in the first place that doesn't have these kind of sellers on it, and it is consistent, then you're just going to eliminate that problem. The second one is monthly sales. So we're looking for a good amount of monthly sales. What we want is a good sales to seller ratio. And what I mean by this is we want to be looking at listings where we're going to be getting a good share of the pie. So if there's 1,000 sales per month on a listing, but there's 100 FBA sellers on there, we're going to be getting the very, very, very small proportion of that pie. Whereas if there's a listing that's doing less sales, maybe it's doing 500 sales per month, but there is only 3 sellers to compete with on that listing, then we're going to be getting a much bigger share of the pie, even though the product doesn't sell as much. The next one is reviews. We want to make sure that the product has got a good amount of reviews, and we want to make sure that they're above 3.5 stars. And this is just to ensure that there's no key fundamental issue with the product. If you've got a product where you're selling it and there's like a 3-star reviews, for example, it indicates that the product is going to get returned quite a lot, and you're just going to have issues when selling it. So it's going to eat into your margins, and it's just going to add extra complexities. Now, the next one is bestseller rank. So we want to make sure that there's a consistent bestseller ranking on the listing. So for those of you who don't know what bestseller ranking is, it's Amazon's ranking system where it ranks each product within its category. So say, for example, you're looking in the grocery category and you're looking at a product that is 10,000 in line in the grocery category. That means if you went on the grocery category and scrolled all the way down to the 10,000th item, that item would be there that you're looking at. Now, I would generally say in the bigger categories that anything under 100,000 or 50,000 BSR is pretty good. But ultimately what we're looking at here is just to make sure that the BSR matches with the Jungle Scout sales data. And I say Jungle Scout because we use Jungle Scout to analyze the sales data from all products. And we also use Barbot Pro to look at all of the other data as well. So those are just a few of the initial validation checks that we use, but we do have a full structured process that we're looking for. And ultimately, the purpose of these validation checks is we want to be able to look at a listing, and within 45 to 60 seconds, we want to be able to analyze whether it's a good listing that we want to sell on, if we could actually get this product at a good enough price, is the product going to last for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And those are the kind of listings and products that we want to be looking for. So that is the product sourcing and analysis phase. And within these 3 pillars, we actually split our time up into 3 work blocks. So work block number 1 is what I've just mentioned, which is the product sourcing and analysis phase. So a work block is a set of time that we set aside each and every week, each and every day to give ourselves undivided attention to a specific task. So for example, with work block number 1, it's a product sourcing work block. So we want to put our phone on do not disturb. We want to basically eliminate all distractions, and we solely want to spend 2 to 4 hours just sourcing products. And within about a 2 to 4 hour work block, if you've got the right sourcing strategies, you should be able to find about 50 to 100 products that meet your criteria. And the reason that we use work blocks is because having a high level of focus and eliminating all the distractions actually means that you get literally 10 times the amount of work done. Like, we've genuinely found that by using work blocks, we can work half the time, but we can probably get double the amount of work done. And that's just because you're putting your whole undivided attention in. You've got no phone ringing, you've got nobody, you're not replying to emails, you're not getting distracted, and you just get a lot more work done. So we separate that task into its own work block. So that's pillar number 1. Pillar number 2 is contacting and outreaching brands. Now, this is arguably the hardest step of the process. And if you're already an existing Amazon seller, you'll know exactly what I mean. So what I mean by contacting and outreaching brands is once we've actually found the initial product that we've gone onto Amazon, it's met all of our initial validation checks, and it's a product and a listing that looks pretty good, and it looks like it's one that we actually want to sell on. We would then move on to the second phase, which is contacting the brand. So we would basically go to the brand's website, and we always want to be going to the brand directly, and we would basically contact them with the intention of getting open what's called a trade account. A trade account would allow us to buy their products in bulk at a competitively wholesale price. And we will typically be buying in quite large volumes, typically even pallets, and we will then look to basically buy that product and put it in a certain pack size and sell it on Amazon. However, the reason why this step of the process is so hard is because it's actually hard to get these accounts open. It's not an easy process. You're going to get faced rejection, ton of objections when you call up or email asking for an account. A lot of the time, they just won't even respond to you. So with this step, it's super important that you do everything you can to maximize your chances of actually getting these accounts open. So what you need to do is you need to create a good business profile, because ultimately these brands, these wholesalers and distributors, they're B2B businesses. They don't want to deal with individuals who they know are going to sell the products on Amazon. And they definitely don't want to deal with Joe Blogs, who's maybe 18 years old, got £500 to his name and just wants to start reselling the products on Amazon. So it's your job to position and articulate yourself in such a way that's going to make these brands want to work with you. And you've got to portray yourself as a genuine and legitimate business. So you can do this by building a business profile. So having things like a website, a proper email domain, a structured email signature, a virtual landline address, all these different kind of things that are going to solidify to that company that, okay, these guys are contacting us, they want a trade account, but they're a legitimate business and they should be a good customer for us. So you need to learn how to overcome these objections, handle the rejection, and basically get these trade accounts open. And this is ultimately the highest value skill within the business, because you want to be able to get the trade account that nobody else can get. And this is what we call work block number 2. So work block number 2 is where we will just solely contact and outreach brands. If you call up a brand and they just give you a trade account straight away, they have no objections, and it's a pretty easy process. It's a bit of a red flag straight away, because it means, well, if other people try to get this trade account, how easy is it for them to get the account open? Probably pretty easy. So they've now got access to the same supplier at the same price, selling the same product. Whereas on the other hand, if you call up a brand and they say no, or maybe you try contact the brand after like 4 or 5 times and they don't reply and it's not easy to get hold of them, it's actually a pretty good sign, because if you go above and beyond and you find a way to actually get that account open, then it's going to set you apart from the rest, and it's going to give you that competitive advantage that you need to scale your Amazon business. Because you can be buying from suppliers that other people can't buy from, you're going to be getting access to products that people can't get access to at prices they can't get access to as well. We will spend a lot more time on work block number 2 than we will do on work block number 1, because it's significantly more time consuming and there's a lot more pieces to the puzzle. So typically within a week, we might spend 2 to 3 hours on work block number 1, but we might spend 20 to 30 hours on work block number 2s. And we also have work block number 3, the follow-up process. Now, you need to make sure you've got a tangible way of tracking these inquiries, tracking who you're speaking to, when you spoke to them, what you spoke to them about, the type of inquiry you made, what stage of the process you're at. What objections did you face? All of this information you need to be documenting when you contact a brand. The worst thing you can do is just send emails off, send phone calls off on a whim without documenting anything down, as it's pretty much just pie in the sky. Like, there's nothing tangible there with it, and you're just going to lose track of all these inquiries, especially if you're making 50, 100, 200 inquiries per month, per week. You need to keep track of all these inquiries. And it's likely that these suppliers are not going to get back to you after the first contact. So you may need to contact these brands 5, 10 times before you actually get a tangible response. And again, you need to do things that other people aren't willing to do, because a lot of people don't track their follow-ups and they don't manage their inquiries properly. So if you can just gain that competitive advantage in all these little areas within the business, that's how you're going to scale your Amazon business to 10K per month. So that's pillar number 2, which is contacting and opening accounts with suppliers. Now, pillar number 3 is arguably the most important, because you can do pillar number 1 really great, pillar number 2 even better. But if you don't know how to do pillar number 3 and you're not actually doing it, you are leaving tens of thousands of pounds worth of revenue on the table each and every month. And I see it happen all the time. And pillar number 3 is negotiating with suppliers. Now, what I mean by negotiating with suppliers is when you open up these accounts, especially with brands directly, a lot of the time the pricing isn't going to be viable straight off the bat. It may be break even, it may be 5% margin, 10% margin, just very low margin that obviously we can't accept. So it's your job to actually add perceived value and position your business in such a way to justify why you should get a better price, and actually negotiate with the brand, liaise with the brand to get favorable terms, favorable pricing, and favorable payment terms. But it's not just as simple as going to them and saying, hey, can I have a better price? I see it happen all the time, and people say, well, there's no room to negotiate. I've tried negotiating and I can't. Yes, because you're going about it in the wrong way. You need to add perceived value. You need to understand what they actually value within their business and pitch your business in a way that's actually going to add value. You need to build rapport with your point of contact at the business and just develop that relationship. And again, this is how you're going to get a competitive edge over your competition. So those are the 3 key pillars that you need to build and scale your Amazon business to 10K per month. And really to build it to multiple 6 figures per month in level, really. They are the highest value tasks within the business. And if you really double down on those, focus on them, get them right, you will manage to scale your business massively. Now, beyond the 10K per month mark, you are going to have a lot of other bottlenecks like cash flow, operational drag, making sure that you can actually put all of the volume through the business, especially when you get to hundreds of thousands of pounds in revenue like we have. There is a lot more complexity to the business, but really the highest value tasks and the highest ROI tasks are actually those 3 pillars that I've just spoke about. So with that being said, if you're looking to start selling on Amazon, or you're already an existing Amazon seller yourself, maybe you're doing 5K a month, 10K a month, 20K a month, whatever it may be, whether you're doing online arbitrage, wholesale, whatever it is, and you're really looking to take your Amazon business to the next level and grow it into a successfully profitable business, and build teams, systems, warehouse, like genuinely build it into a good business, go to the description of this video and book in a call with myself. On this call, we'll just discover exactly where you're at the moment, what your goals are, and pretty much whether we can help you. And if we can, great, I'll show you exactly how we can help you, and I can show you exactly basically what it is we offer. And if not, we will just tell you there and then on the call. And I promise you, you will always leave the call better off than when you joined. And this is our bread and butter. This is what we do. We scale Amazon wholesale businesses. I've done it with myself. I've done it with a ton of my other students. So go to the description of the video and book in a call. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you again soon.